Hello and welcome to The Big Fight. So one of the big events of the week, in addition to all the corruption charges that of course you've been hearing about for a long time, was a stunning result in the state of Bihar where the JDU-BJP alliance got an absolutely staggering majority. The immediate question that was asked after that, and that is the question we're going to go into in some detail in this show, is whether this spells the end of identity politics. In state after state, we are starting to see chief ministers winning elections once again after delivering good governance. So at the end of the day, is that all that Indian voters care about now? Good governance and development, and forget about all those questions of caste and politics. Or is it still too premature to say that? That's basically the subject we're going to be taking a look at, and let me welcome the man fresh from the triumph in Bihar, N.K. Singh, who's been instrumental in a lot of the policies behind which Mr. Nitish Kumar has been following. So you're looking thoroughly delighted with what's been happening in Bihar. So congratulations for that result. Thank you. Welcome here in the studio. Rajiv Shukla of the Congress Party, it's great to have you with us on A Big Fight, I think for the first time ever. Yes. Hopefully not for the last time, but certainly for the first time. But somebody who is an old friend of ours here, Chandan Mitra of the BJP. You are also delighted with the result, but I'm going to be asking you about possible implications of this result for the BJP now and in the future, especially running up to the next general election. Asaduddin Owaisi, thank you so much for joining us from the MIM in Hyderabad, who's not completely sure whether we should say finis to identity politics just yet. He thinks it does have a role. And Zoya Hassan also has been analyzing this, and she also does feel that identity politics played a role even in the victory of Nitish Kumar as it happens. And finally, we are being joined by Sudhindra Kulkarni, very closely associated with the NDA regime, who has his own takes on what lessons the BJP could perhaps take from this. But Sudhindra Kulkarni will be coming to a little later in the program. And let me just start with you. The end of identity politics, or is it premature to say that?
Well, certainly I think that the outcome of the Bihar elections suggests that the stratified social order based on caste and other kinds of sectarian identities has become more malleable, under the impact of the development matrix and under the changing perception that people want better life quality. People are not looking into the past, people are looking into the future, that expectation and aspirations which have overtaken the kind of identity politics. But it would be premature to write the obituary of the identity politics, because I think that most people would say that this is basically economic engineering coupled with clever social engineering.
Well, there was some social engineering as well in what happened, but I'm going to come to that. But Chandan, I know people say that people in Bihar used to vote their caste instead of casting their vote, and this time they did the opposite. But is that really the case? Because I know it was a staggering victory in the terms of the number of seats, but in the terms of the voting percentage, it may not have gone up as much as you might have expected it to. Yes, there was a 15 percentage point margin, which is massive. Yeah. But there were still people who said, oh, we would like Nitish Kumar to become the chief minister, but we're still voting for Lalu Yadav because he's our caste brother.
You see, it will be premature to write off identity politics. It is definitely there. In fact, I would posit this by saying that castes voted as castes by and large, except that the caste configurations and the caste equations changed dramatically this time. And castes voted to maximize their clout. And within that, there was some denting. There were the vote banks, the absolutely watertight vote banks that had been built by Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav and also certain parties, including the Congress Party. This time, I think it was the first time they fractured. But it's not that castes didn't vote like castes. So I think that there's a point has to be borne in mind.
That's fascinating.